I'm Jake Bruton, and today on the Build Show, we're gonna kind of mix new topic information with some information that I put out there before, old and the new, and we're gonna call it 3 mistakes I made when I was starting out as a contractor. Let's do it now. All right, so we all have big mistakes that we made. Some of them hurt us, some of them didn't hurt us, and we learned the lesson without having to learn the lesson, as they would say. And some of these, I would say all 3 of these are things that hurt me in one way or another, and I made a choice to run my business differently based off of that hurting me. So let's start with number 1. Oh, sorry, and this is entirely a conversation based off of a conversation that I had with a young contractor in the past couple weeks online. The young man was asking me some questions, and I thought, man, these are all the things that I effed up when I was starting out. So let's put it out there and see if anybody can gain anything from it, or if we can drive that conversation. So number 1, that race to the bottom mentality, the who can do it the cheapest. I thought my job as a contractor was to provide the job for the client as cheaply as I could. And that's all I was focused on. I'm not trying to say cost doesn't matter, but I am trying to say outcome is more important than final cost to the clients that you want. So what are the 2 places that we have the cost? Besides my personal labor and the amount of money that I get to take home, the things that I tried the most to, what I'm gonna say cheap out when I first started. Number 1 is subs. So I was constantly asking subs, giving them a set of plans, saying, I need a bid on this. And then after getting the bid, calling and then going, you know, this seems really high. It seems higher than the other guy. Can we talk about how you came to this number? And trying to make them think about it long enough that they could figure out ways to save the client money. Not necessarily make them lose money or anything like that. I mean, they were trying to find ways, the same way I was, to do it in a more cost-effective manner. Which is, again, it's not a horrible thing. However, if you're asking people to just continually cut money out of the budget, cut money out of the budget, cut money out of the budget, that's a problem, because at some point, there's not gonna be any money in the budget for them to do it correctly. So that was my first part. The second part was material selections. Yeah, I can buy that faucet cheaper at Home Depot. Oh, but if we go to this other brand of tile, it's like half as much. And we'll order extra because we know it's gonna fall apart. Some of it's gonna fall apart, and we'll just deal with the fact that it's of a poor quality. So it was a real kind of like nightmare for me for a long time, because we were a race to the bottom company. We were a race to the bottom with selections and materials, and we were trying to do things as cheaply as possible. And that doesn't leave you much room to succeed, because the clients aren't gonna be happy when there's problems. They're not gonna be happy when things don't last. And I didn't see it when I first started out. It took me a couple years. I'm not saying we did anything necessarily wrong on that level, but we certainly had some issues that cost me time and money to fix, that cost me time to try to make the clients happy, things like that. And we decided that we would be focusing on like the outcome, the final product more, and therefore we would be better at our jobs. And immediately that meant that I had to spend a little bit more money. I had to go to my subcontractor and say, I want to work with you on this project. How much is it going to cost for you to do this the right way? And then they would say, it's X. And I just go, okay, I'll put X in my proposal, and that'll be what we get paid for doing it. And it completely changed the way that we operated. That idea of being focused on the outcome rather than the cost of things. The other one was, I had someone ask how long we had been in business. And this month, actually March of 22, is our 39th year in business. And I had to tell them like, oh, and at the time it was, 28 years or whatever. And I said, oh, we've been in business for 28 years. And then I thought, I wonder how long we'll be able to stay in business. And that was like an awakening moment for me, because I was like, oh, maybe I'm doing things that I'm not happy with, that I don't think are long-term good for the clients. So I need to think about this. We're a long-term business. We are a second generation business, and we may be a third generation business at some point. I need to protect our name. I need to make sure that we're doing quality work and doing it as cheap as possible. For the most part, you're not doing the best quality work that you can. The second thing on the list of 3 things that I did that were mistakes when I was starting out, I didn't think I needed insurance. I wanted to 1099 my employees. I didn't have liability insurance because the municipality, the city building that we just passed, didn't require it. And I sure as heck didn't have builder's risk. And I didn't ask my subs if they had insurance. I just assumed they did because they were business people. So you got to have workers' comp if you're going to have employees in the state of Missouri. I would recommend you have it anywhere. You're asking them to do things. Don't rely on them to go and buy it for themselves and take care of it if they're a 1099. I encourage people to be a W-2 and then let me take care of the cost. Let me build that cost into my job and let me make sure that you're taken care of if you hurt yourself on the job. The same with builder's risk. If something happens on the job, a storm blows over a building, I can't afford to put it back up if the house was nearly framed and something blows it over, or if an addition blows over or something of the sort. We have to have that insurance to make sure that we can still provide for our clients. And that's a huge deal that I didn't think was that important. That's not going to happen to my job, sort of thing. And then third is liability. So you have to be able to protect, somebody walks onto the job site or a shingle wrapper blows off the roof and then hits a windshield of a car, and then that car runs into a telephone pole. Guess what? That's your fault. If you don't have insurance, you're the one that's at risk. We have to manage our risk as business owners, and we have to do better as a construction industry, is making sure that we have the right insurance to make sure that we're covered. Another big one is insuring tools. You hear all the time on Instagram about, our tool trailer got stolen, everything's gone. Well, your auto insurance may not cover all the contents of that. If you have a policy on your tools, which, believe it or not, insuring 80 grand worth of tools is a few $100s a year. How about that for peace of mind? Like, it's gonna cost me a few $100 a year to make sure I can put all my tools back in my shop if my shop gets broken into. And then lastly, you gotta verify that your subs have it. So we have a subcontractor agreement. It lays out terms of business, how we pay, this is what it looks like. And it lays out like how long they're gonna carry a warranty and what insurance they need to have. If they've signed that, they're the one that's liable for it. They're gonna give you proof of insurance because they have to sign it. So it's a big deal. Insurance is a bigger part of this business than you would ever think. And if you talk to somebody who had insurance when they had a major issue, they're gonna tell you why it's important. So find somebody and talk to them if you don't believe me. And third, I've made a video on this before. You gotta collect deposits. If you're gonna hold a place in your schedule for somebody, they gotta have skin in the game. Make them give you some cash. Make them make a commitment financially to you, so that then you in turn can make a schedule commitment, which, like it or not, that's a financial commitment. If you're gonna make it, they gotta make it. Otherwise, you're gonna fill spots in your schedule and then people are gonna flake on you. They're gonna walk away, they're gonna find somebody else, somebody's brother-in-law can do it for them, and at the last minute, they're gonna drop out of your schedule and you're gonna be left waiting for another job to start, and it's gonna be a financial burden for your company. So make them make a commitment to you, that way you can feel more secure that they're gonna be there. Also, don't make that refundable. Make the commitment. If you're willing to hire me, sign a contract and give me some money, and then I'm a professional business. That money will be there when we're ready to start, and that contract means something to me. It should mean something to the clients as well. And then lastly, for deposits, it's those special order item numbers or special order line items. If you're gonna order it and it's not returnable, or it's returnable with a restocking fee, there's no reason why the client shouldn't pay for it up front. They wouldn't be able to go to the lumberyard and place an order for windows without paying for those windows. So why, just because it's going through me, do I absorb that risk? That's not how our business operates. We're not financing your project. You gotta act as a professional and get those deposits. So be focused on the outcome over the cost. It's not doing it as cheap as possible, because that's not going to be the best long-term outcome for your company or for your clients. You need to reconsider what levels of insurance you have. Find somebody in your market that you know has had an issue. Talk to them about why the insurance was important or how not having insurance screwed them. And then third, collect those deposits. Thanks for watching the Build Show today. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Don't forget to check out the podcast that I do with Peter Yost and Steve Basic. And don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter from thebuildshownetwork.com. Every week, there's tons of content going up. If you get that newsletter twice a week, you'll be unlikely to miss it, and you don't want to miss it because there is some good stuff coming out of the Build Show Network. Thanks for watching.